Claire Martin, Director of Enrollment Management at Newton Country Day School. For those of you who attended our virtual open house, thank you for coming. We hope that you left with a new understanding of our school. For those of you who weren't able to attend, we offer you this recording of the event. We begin by letting you know what's been happening on campus this fall.
Oui, qu'est-ce que là c'est?
And that's going to be a way for you to kind of figure out how you might make sky turn to ocean, how you might make balloon colors.
What are we going to do? I want you to talk to your partner about it and get it done. What do you guys see? We have a slope, right?
Yeah.
This God, God of the Hebrew people, our God, did not play with human beings' lives. Instead, God wants to work with us in the act of creating.
Doesn't give too much power to one place, or to one person, or to one group.
It can be difficult to wrap your head around.
That's the answer, and then you're going to prove it.
We're using one set.
Yeah, all hands on deck.
Yes.
Welcome to Newton Country Day School of the Sacred Heart. I'm speaking to you from the heart of our school, the chapel. It is the place on typical years that you would be here with us listening to our vision for your daughter in a beautiful context of a church that has stained glass windows made only about women. That's a highlight because it's what we want your daughter to come to know in her time with us. Each of us, and today, as you may recall, is All Saints' Day. Each of us is invited to sanctity and holiness. These windows, which I hope you'll see in the course of your time looking at our school, are all women, and they're there because we expect of our girls not that they'll become stained glass windows, but that they become powerful, serious, confident, and eager to make God's love known. That's the reason our school exists. We're here because we want every girl in this school to understand and experience how much God loves her. And we do that not just so she feels good, but because she will experience it over a period of years, and that by the time she leaves us, she understands completely that everything that happened here is so that she goes out to change the world. I hope in the course of this virtual open house, you get to see yourselves the clarity with which we approach our mission. We have a spectacular academic program. We have, I think, a whole culture of attending to the people around us and to those in the world who need us. That's how we grow. We are well known for our 5 goals that are shared around the world in 41 countries. The first is a personal and active faith in God. And what does that mean? How does it get generated? Well, it's when you realize you are accompanied by God the delight and joy of knowing you are accompanied throughout your life. Secondly, a deep respect for the intellectual life. And what is that? But the crackle of using our minds and attempting deep understanding. The third goal is social awareness that impels to action. This is the recognition of our privilege in the world and the realization of our obligation to work for justice in our school, in our city, in the world. We are not given this privilege to sit back and enjoy it. Building community is the fourth goal. Now, the girls love to talk about this and how happy they are, but the truth is, being a community is very difficult. The challenge of goal 4, building community, is to become the person who is a friend, not who sits waiting for someone to be her friend. It is the person who is willing to speak up when something not kind is going on. It is not just having a goûter, which is a special day of a treat here in all Sacred Heart schools around the world, but rather when we turn and see someone for the first time and recognize she's not different from me. The work of building community is very challenging. And finally, we look to see how we recognize our need for personal growth, that we have to try new things, that we can figure out for ourselves a problem, that we can take responsibility for the things we've done well and for the things we may have given short shrift. It's also being able to say, yes, I did that and I am sorry. Goal 5 is a hidden jewel because it really invites us to be our fullest and truest selves. In the course of the day today, again, I hope you see that in action. The panels will be, I think, the most useful part of this. So if you want to end me now, go right ahead, but stay around for the panels. I want to talk about our religious mission specifically. We're a Roman Catholic school for girls. We delight in that. It's so important to us that since 1800, we have accepted non-Catholics, non-affiliated students to our school, not with the vision of turning them into Catholics, but inviting them to discover for themselves how they wish to live in the world. So if you are thinking about that aspect of our school, I think you will find it a very strong part of our school, but also one that is extremely open in our desire to work with any student. Next, I would say that if you are a parent who looks around and thinks we could never afford that, we work very hard to have having significant availability for students who cannot pay the full tuition. And that is a really important aspect of our school. So as you walk through the school virtually, I hope you get a sense of who we are. And I really look forward to meeting you in person, because I think the best thing about the school is when you walk down the hall and see all that's going on. Thank you for giving us this time, and I look forward to seeing you.
Hi, I'm Nora.
And I'm Sophia.
And we're the co-presidents of the middle school. Even though this year is a little different,
we're still working hard to get to know our classmates,
participate in sports,
and excel in the classroom.
We can't wait to share more about NCDS with you.
Now you'll hear from a few teachers about their teaching experiences at NCDS and why they enjoy teaching.
Hi, I'm Dr. Webster. I'm in the science department here at NCDS, and one of my favorite things to do is mentor students in the upper school in our independent research program. In this program, students get to choose a project of their own interest. They develop an experiment, they engineer something and test their prototypes. This project lasts the full year. They're able to present their work at our school science fair here in March, and some of them even go on to regional and state competitions. It's really one of my favorite ways to watch students develop as scientists and follow their own passions.
Hello, my name is David Byron, and I teach in the history department. My favorite course here at Newton is AP Comparative Government. It's a staple of the department, and it enables students to graduate with an excellent understanding of the contemporary world and the issues that have shaped it.
Hi, my name's Katie Jarvis, and I teach 7th and 8th grade here at Newton Country Day. What I love most about this community is the 5 goals. Really, it intersects, all the 5 goals intersect into everything we do, and I love bringing them into my classroom when we discuss and analyze texts and write and communicate. I'm lucky enough to be an alum of the school, and I still use the 5 goals for how I live out my life.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Southall, the Director of Athletics in both the upper school and the middle school. One of my favorite places on campus is the upper field, where I get the privilege to coach the varsity field hockey team. I love each fall coming back to teach them the fundamentals of the sport and the many lessons that sports offer.
Hello, my name is Tyler Turner, and I'm the chair of the arts here at Newton Country Day School. My favorite thing about NCDS is how well integrated the arts are throughout the school experience. In the middle school, our students get to experience all the art forms, including music, theater, dance, and visual arts. And that experience continues into the upper school, where students can choose what they want to more deeply engage in throughout their time here at NCDS.
Hi everyone, my name is Miss Kumi. I am currently a middle school teacher. I teach Roots of Language to 6th graders, French 7 and French 8. I am also one of the tech teachers for 6th graders. My favorite place here at NCDS is difficult to choose because I have multiple ones, but I would say the Sunken Garden. I just love to go there to lesson prep and to correct my quizzes. The chapel, a great one. When we're not having mass, it's a great space to go and sit and have some quiet time. I also love the library and the silent section of it, where you can just go and get your work done. Things I like to do here also, I just love my classes. I'm having so much fun teaching 6th graders this year for the first time. And then French is just my passion, so I'm just having fun discovering French with my students.
Hi, my name's Evan Adair, and I'm chair of the English department here at Newton Country Day. I would say one of my favorite things about teaching here is being able to analyze literature at a very high level and teaching a creative writing class where kids can explore their imaginations and find their voices on the page. My other favorite thing is coaching the softball team. We've been very successful over the years, and I love to see the kids' passions and athleticism come to life out on the field.
Hi, I'm Emily Horowitz. I teach 6th grade English, and one of my favorite experiences at Newton Country Day is when the 6th graders give their speeches. We study public speaking and rhetoric through Great American Speeches, and then each 6th grader writes a speech of a topic of importance to her and performs it for the middle school. And that moment fills me with so much pride and joy. Thank you.
I'm Kathleen Scully Hodges, as Mrs. Martin said. I'm the head of the upper school and assistant head of school. I also teach in the religious studies department at the 10th grade level, and I moderate the honor committee, which I'll talk about in a moment. I would want to say that each year when I begin the panel, I quote from a little pamphlet that's called Life at the Sacred Heart, which was used for many years as our only admissions brochure because it's the distillation of St. Madeleine Sophie's vision of education. And in this little booklet, there's a gem of a line, and the line really sums up everything that I think makes Newton Country Day distinctive. And the line is, Sacred Heart schools are serious in their principles, strong in their studies, and rich in a spirit of life and love. And I think as you listen to the faculty who introduced this portion, you got some sense of the love that each of our teachers has for our girls. St. Madeline's always hope was that a student at the Sacred Heart would come to feel and know and experience God's love for her. And having experienced that, would develop the confidence to go out and transform the world. And each day it has been my privilege to watch that process, the process of a girl discovering her particular interest in life, discovering her capacity for friendship, her capacity for compassion, her capacity for creativity, her capacity to be a stand-up person, not a bystander, a stand-up person. And all of those qualities are really nurtured by our faculty. I'm very proud that for the last several years, as we undergo our evaluation by the New England Association of Schools and Colleges, the school receives very high marks for its academic program, for its extracurricular activities, for its athletics, for its theater and arts program, but most especially for the quality of the relationship that exists among the students and between the teachers and the students. Year after year, over the last 30 years, we have been called out for our excellence of embodying our mission of school. It is not something that just exists on the page. Every decision, admission, hiring is really done in light of the goals of the school. We mentioned the advisory program. Like all my colleagues, I have the privilege of working with 9 students who are my particular charges in the school, and each faculty member has a group of students with whom we work over the course of the year to help them choose courses, to help them decide what activity they'll participate in, to encourage them to try our exchange program when travel is permitted, to really help them think about the next year, and also to serve as in ongoing dialogue about what the next step, what college she might want to choose to apply to. I will say that Newton Country Day, like all of the many fine independent schools in Boston, offers rare opportunities for girls to come to know themselves. I think what distinguishes us is the depth of the quality of relationship. And I think that you will hear that from our students. It's a wonderful and privilege for me to see on the panel today 2 of our alumni who will talk to you about their experience at Newton Country Day, Claudia Durbin and Sophia Gaines. And they will come to talk to you about how they feel prepared to move on to the next level. So I am going to introduce Rebecca Creer, who is the Dean of the 9th grade. In the upper school, each class is assigned to the special care of a faculty member who serves as the Dean of the class. The Dean works with a group of other teachers who are moderators of the class, and the moderators and Dean really shape the non-academic life of the school, watching for the quality of relationship, planning some enrichment opportunities, and helping the girls experience the joy that is Newton Country Day. This year, we are in a very special circumstances. We're here in person all day, every day, in cohort groups. And you had a glimpse of that. As you saw Kate Kenny, who is teaching math class, and we have all become quite proficient in utilizing technology so that students who are not on campus can zoom in to their classes. All of us on the faculty were in school all summer, learning how to adapt our courses to the reality of the COVID world. We have really decided to do this because our experience last spring of the distance learning term was very positive. And it was very positive precisely because we had been together with our students from September. So when we moved into distance learning, the commitment to each other really held us together despite the distance. Students were present in every class. They turned in their homework. The whole quality of the academic life of the school remained vital, energetic, and reflective of who we are when we're here in person. I can attribute that to our faculty, who were able to turn on the dime and move seamlessly into distance learning in the course of a week. And that is because our faculty have been working very hard over the last several years to look at the future of learning. And we did not expect the future of learning to arrive quite so quickly. Nevertheless, we were prepared for it. So without further ado, let me introduce Rebecca Creer. Becky teaches English and Religious Studies, and she is, as I said, the Dean of the 9th grade. And I know you will enjoy hearing from her and from the students on the panel.
So as the Dean of the 9th grade, I lead an extended orientation program to get 9th graders fully immersed in the goals of the school, to build a community of friends and support that lasts not only the 4 years of high school, but for the entire lives of the graduates of the school, and a program led alongside by my team of moderators to help develop the academic skills necessary, the nitty-gritty things that these girls need to do to make the most of their intellectual gifts and succeed in our really rigorous and intense curriculum. So Sister Rogers in her video explained what the goals mean to the school, and the girls are going to give more substance to that to articulate how it has lived out in their lives very concretely as students in our school. So we will start with goal 1, a personal and active faith in God. So any panelists who feel very excited to start off with that goal, just put your hand up like this so I can see, and I'll let you speak to your example. So goal 1, a personal and active faith in God. How have you seen that lived out in your experience at NCDS? Isabel.
Honestly, every day the goal is being lived out. When you're walking through the halls and people are laughing and smiling, and obviously now it's socially distant, but you can still see the joy in everyone, and everyone lights up when you see someone in a cohort you haven't seen in a while, and you just say a huge hi or like, what's up? And it's just so kind, and it's such a loving environment. And yeah, like if you're just going out and you see someone like in the bathroom and you're like, hi, it's just like such a loving environment.
Thank you. Every year, each grade goes on a retreat, an overnight retreat, varying in length, getting longer as girls get older. Can any of our students speak to a particular experience of your spiritual retreat in your years at NCDS? Robin.
Well, I think that one of like the major retreats in the beginning of high school is at the beginning of 9th grade, and everybody's kind of new, whether you were at Newton before or there's like a big group of girls who are all new to Newton. And I think that like that retreat in the beginning of the year really brings everybody together, and we can all be together as a community, and I think that goal really like starts getting realized at that retreat for sure.
Thank you. Claudia.
I can speak to the final retreat and kind of making a bookend to that comment, but we go on retreat as a 12th grade class prior to graduation, and I still have chills thinking about moments between organized activities where just being together as a grade. The final night of my retreat, there was a massive rainbow. We were all on some big fields and just together, and you realize how special of a place and how privileged you are to have these relationships and get to hold memories like that in your heart going forward. And that's something that I still reflect back on as very unique and something I feel very privileged to have been a part of and continue to be a part of.
Thanks, Claudia. Sarah.
Yeah, just to add on to a little bit of what Robin was saying, I personally feel for me, since we do start doing a lot of retreats, starting in 9th grade all the way up to senior year, in a way you start getting comfortable with your classmates in ways that I don't think most high schoolers feel comfortable with their classmates. You start sharing, any struggle you may be having in school, and you bond over that. You know, if you're not getting something in calculus, you bond over that. If you don't get something in physics, you bond over it. And so I think being able to be, you know, sincere and vulnerable with your classmates is what really, you know, makes the retreat experience one of a kind.
Wonderful. Thanks, Sarah. Chloe.
Just to like add on to what Sarah just said, when I went on my first retreat in ninth grade, I was completely new. I didn't really know anyone. And just like speaking to what Sarah said about being vulnerable with your classmates, that night away from home, just staying with all the girls from your school makes such a big difference. And like being there in that night with everyone else, let us like open up and just make relationships with people we don't know or we haven't talked to before, so on and so forth. And like that retreat was like that made friendships that I still have today and will have going forward.
Wonderful. Another element of the way in which we witness God's presence in our lives at our school is through our weekly chapel services, which now takes on a new form in distance learning, but it is still at the heart of our school. Could a current student speak a little bit about what chapel normally is like, what that means to you in your week, and how it's continued on in this new school year? Yeah, Lily.
I really enjoy chapel because I think it usually it's on Thursdays, and it's just a really nice time to kind of, you know, sit and reflect and be with the whole upper school community, which is really nice. And I am a part of chorale here, and so occasionally, you know, like I will cantor during chapel, and that's always a lot of fun to, you know, learn the music. And even if people aren't singing back, Miss Hodges and, you know, all the faculty make sure to sing with you, which is really nice. So that's just something I really enjoy. I think it is a really nice way to kind of just sit and relax for a little bit and, you know, engage in your faith with God.
Thank you. Yeah, Jill.
Just to add on to Lily, there's always usually an activity that we do in chapel, and I think that's a really awesome way to stay engaged. I always look forward to chapel, even though it's a little bit different this year. I always look forward to it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Mrs. Hodges, before I move on to goal 2, is there anything you wanted to add about goal 1 or ask our panelists?
I am always impressed when I hear the girls talk about goal 1, because adolescence is really a time when students begin to doubt their religious convictions, their religious practice, and doubt is constitutive of faith. We really don't have faith until we begin to doubt. And I think the program is designed to meet adolescents where they are, to give them an opportunity to think about God's relationship in their lives. In my opinion, the most extraordinary part of our retreat program is the Kairos retreat, which takes place in junior year. And the Kairos retreat is really the implementation of St. Ignatius Loyola's method of prayer, which is to reflect on where you see God inserted in your life. And the girls get a chance to hear from the seniors, are the leaders on the retreat, with faculty members who really talk about the high points and the low points in their life and where they saw God at work there. And of course, that is what we want our girls to leave, understanding that regardless of what happens to you in life, for good or for ill, you do not experience that by yourself, that God is with you, as the Psalm says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And I think that that understanding of not being alone, I think particularly now when we're in a time of COVID, is a real gift that we give our graduates. And time after time, I get to hear our alumni talk about that, how their understanding of being accompanied by God is really a cherished gift that they received here at school.
Thank you. So moving on to goal 2, a deep respect for intellectual values. Jill, I'm actually going to call on you for this one because we have some questions from people on the webinar. Christina asks, as a freshman, how often do you meet with your advisor? And then Riley also asks, how do we help incoming ninth graders with the transition to NCDS? So Jill, last year we had a lot of focus on study skills, and you had an advisor last year. So could you talk about your transition academically, intellectually into the ninth grade, about what we did to help you develop your study skills?
Yeah, so I met with my advisor every week. I'm sort of student, I kind of need a little bit of guidance. I want that like planning. So that was really, really nice to have that available to me. I think the transition to ninth grade, it's tough for anybody, and it's always different for each student, but NCDS does, the ninth grade team does an amazing job at making sure every student is heard, every student is supported. I think everyone on the panel can agree with me that the transition to ninth grade was made so much easier because of the teachers, because of the staff, and because of our classmates, everyone around us. So.
Thank you, Jill. Anyone else speaking to, this process intellectually of going from middle school to high school, and how you were supported, and the challenges, and how you met those challenges, how your advisor may have helped you? Isabel?
So normally, you're able to meet with your teachers. You can just send them an email, and you can say like, oh, I just want some advice or some editing on like maybe a writing piece. And practically the same day you can meet with them, and it's super supportive, and you pretty much can ask anything. There's no stupid question. It's all accepted. And I understand like during distance it was really hard for us to meet with our teachers, but all the teachers had office hours where we were able to just sign up for maybe like a half an hour period of time and ask all our questions and get all the help we needed. So I think the teachers really contribute a lot into, teachers and advisors contribute a lot into our transition academically.
Wonderful. Sarah?
For me, I didn't come to NCDS in middle school. I came my freshman year, and thankfully, my advisor my freshman year was also new. So it was like we were just kind of figuring things out both at the same time. But I think that transition was easier, not only because my advisor was new, but I really stressed the importance of senior mentors and like your senior leaders, because my senior leaders were so nice. I remember I think the May before my freshman year, we had like kind of like the introductory like meeting where you meet like people in your group, and that was really nice. And I had leaders who were just like checking up on me, like, hey, I hope you have a great summer, like let me know like if you need anything, I'm always here to talk to you. And that was like that sense of comfort that I got from my leaders kind of translated into my freshman year. And so if I just wanted to like talk to them, I would go to Barrett Commons and be like, hey, what's up? Or like we'd be like, oh, let's have like this, or like it's really just like not only your relationship with teachers, but your relationship with seniors. And that's what I really enjoy about it.
Wonderful. Lily, I saw your hand up a moment ago.
Yeah, similar to what Sarah was saying, I came in as a ninth grader, and so I think there were a little some learning gaps, but my teachers were really able to work with me and make sure that I was kind of on the same page as everyone else in my class. Just like Isabel said, like you could show up to a teacher's office and basically just like figure out, what you're struggling with and if you need to get help. And I also, on the account of like coming to Newton, everyone was so welcoming, especially the girls. Like they just want to meet you and get to know you and be friends like immediately. And that was just so nice and really aided in a smooth transition.
Wonderful. Rebecca asks a question, one of our people watching asks a question, the benefits of the exchange program. And I think the exchange program is one of the most intellectually and personally demanding and wonderful opportunities we have at this school. So can anyone speak to that? Chloe, enthusiastically raising your hand.
Oh God, I love talking about exchange because it was like literally life-changing. Like it forces you to become such a more grown-up version of yourself. Like you go out into this world and you're like by yourself. I mean, like you don't have your parents with you. it's such a time to grow personally and also figure out who you are in a sense. I went to South Korea on exchange, and literally I never would have thought I could go there. So this was such a like exciting opportunity for me, and I was so excited to take it. And I still talk about it to this day, even though it happened like more than a year ago. I still could talk about it for hours. It was such an incredible experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like I get so excited to talk about it because it was just such a great time. And I
Wonderful.
encourage anyone to take advantage of that experience.
Yeah. And to wrap up goal 2, I'm also thinking about, and this Dr. Webster spoke about this on the video we watched, independent research in the sciences as a wonderful opportunity to learn. So Claudia, our senior in college, why don't you tell us about how that has impacted your journey?
Like Chloe's enthusiasm for exchange, I hope to mirror that with the independent research. This was actually the beginning of a hopefully lifelong, at least it's followed me all through Dartmouth. I put together a project, actually a different program this summer before my senior year. As a summer internship, I started this project where I created a device that can make vitamin D in human skin as a way to treat and prevent deficiency and like related disorders. And I came into school, first day of fall term, and a teacher was just making conversation with me, and I had mentioned that this is something that I was interested in, and she immediately takes me under her wing. She's like, let's do this independent research together. We ended up continuing working with this same project. I've never been more impressed with someone over the course of 3 weeks becoming an expert in what took me all summer to learn about. And then with her help, I signed up for a couple competitions. And my senior spring, I went to San Diego and presented at a symposium there. I had gotten second place in the national symposium sponsored by the Department of Defense. So I still have some scholarship money because of that program, eternally grateful. And that really launched me into what defines my Dartmouth career now. As soon as I showed up to campus, freshman fall, I knew it was a priority to find a research mentor and to get in the lab. And that's something that I've stuck with. And I'm now going into my last year in the same group and writing a thesis, and all of the skills that Dr. Webster mentioned, I can like firmly say all were established with that vitamin D program. So again, I'll stop myself here before I go on too long, but really a special program.
But we can't wait to see where it takes you because it's not over yet. Yeah, wonderful. So goal 3 is social awareness, which impels to action. So panelists, what concrete examples can you think of how you have been challenged and motivated and energized to bring more justice and more equity to the world? How we have reached beyond our community. Yeah, Avery.
So I would say one example that was really transformative for me is the HASED program. So this is a 40-hour community service commitment that usually takes place either the summer before or during students' junior year. And so I personally did my HASED volunteer hours with Waypoint Adventure. So I volunteered to help people with disabilities go on outdoor adventure programs like rock climbing, hiking, canoeing. And so I cannot tell you how much this program changed me, how much it opened my eyes to the world and the ways that you can get involved both as a student and then beyond as an adult to volunteer in these sort of capacities. So that was one specific example. And I think the fact that NCDS requires this really forces people out of their comfort zone. But then I think every junior would tell you that it was worth it and that it was beyond rewarding. So I would say HASED is a great example.
Wonderful. Other examples, memories, things you're working on now. Robin.
So we have many committees at our school. I have been in the service committee. This will be my 3rd year being part of it. And we plan different activities. So like every year we do like Thanksgiving baskets that we donate to families in need, and then also Christmas baskets. And that really brings everybody together in working to create something meaningful to like give back to the community.
Wonderful. Other examples. Sarah.
So something that I've really, cherished over the past couple of years that relates to the school is that at the start of my sophomore year, we implemented something called affinity groups, where students across the whole school could find a community where they felt that they could, find other people within the school that, related to them. For example, I and another student are co-heads of a Latinx affinity group called OLAS, which is Organization of Latin American Students. And there we talk about a variety of things, which is, what is happening all over the world, not only like in South America or in the US. It's just about how we as a Latin community within the school, how can we evolve? How can we make it more diverse? How can we as Latin students help make our voice like heard in a way? So I think that that's something I've really appreciated. And kind of adding on to that is we've recently been having DEI assemblies, which are these diversity conversations that, we're kind of pushing ourselves to have these conversations that need to be had, especially with what's been happening over the past couple of months. And so I've been really thankful and appreciative of these conversations because they are making people uncomfortable, and you can't really go forward if you don't make people uncomfortable. So.
Well put. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, Chloe.
Definitely, as a student of color, I think that affinity groups are so important within our school community, just to spread awareness about the experience of students who are people of color, and also just to have a place where we feel safe talking about our own experiences and things that, other people may not understand. We can talk to people who really relate to us, and also just like spread awareness about what are we experiencing and things like that. So I think affinity groups is so important to the community, and I was so excited that that was implemented.
Thank you. Sophia G.
One important aspect in how we learn about being socially aware is in our religion classes. I think that everybody brought up great points in how we are very active and we do things physically to help support our community, but the religion class really allows us to learn and understand the different issues that are happening around us, so that when we do go in and try to help other people, we know what we're doing and like the purposes behind it, which I think is very important, educating ourselves so we can have the best impact possible. So what we're doing isn't we basically give everything we have into it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sophia. So moving on to goal 4, the building of community as a Christian value. I'm going to pose this, at least in the beginning, as a 9th grade centered question, because that connects to some of the questions we have in the chat box here. What were some concrete things upon your entry in 9th grade that helped you really feel like you belonged to this community? In particular, we have a question about induction day. I think we said blue silver induction there. So what are these memories you have where you went from feeling very new to feeling like you belonged?
Speaking of induction day, blue silver induction, so in the first couple weeks of school, you get inducted to either the blue team or the silver team. And once you get inducted to either team, you automatically have a community of 5th to 12th graders that you can just go to, and you all are on the same team. So you're all supporting each other and all the goals you have for each other, like off the bat, even though you don't necessarily know everyone's name, you automatically have that connection and something you can talk about. So it just fosters a lot of great high school and sometimes middle school long friendships.
Wonderful. Thank you. We also have another question, and I'll tie it into this theme. So if you have your hand up, you can answer this as well. What advice would you give a new 9th grader entering this community to? It's part of your answer. Avery.
I would say just mainly to get involved with all the many things we have going on. I know when I came in as a ninth grader, my first experience with the upper school was on a sports team. So I do cross country. I'm now a captain. But when I came in ninth grade, I was actually the only ninth grader on the team. It's since grown. But I think that experience really forced me to meet girls in other grades and to build strong connections outside of my particular grade. And so I felt like I kind of had this in with the older girls. And I think that was really awesome for me. And I think similarly, people have mentioned committees. That's another great way to meet girls in all different grades and also your own grade. I think just having a community that shares something in common, some interests, some sports, something like that is a great way to transition and to feel like you instantly have people that can be your friends and that you can see on a regular basis.
Wonderful. What else about goal 4? Lily.
So similar to Avery's experience with cross country, I really threw myself in, and I'm a part of the musical theater community here. And so that was a really big thing for me. Not only meeting girls in my grade who have the same interests as me, but also girls who are in, grades above me. And it was just such a wonderful experience to really come together and form a production and just have, this thing to come to at the end of the day where you can kind of, leave everything that happened during school, like at the door, and you just, come in and form this, beautiful artistic production of, singing and dancing and acting and everything in between.
Wonderful. Sophia W., to get your voice in here, I'm going to call on you to talk a little bit about how, now that we're in cohorts and school looks different with the COVID rules we have to follow, how has the community been there for you in this year compared to last year, which was mostly normal school?
Yeah, so we're in cohorts right now, so you're kind of just stuck in, which is like a small group of people. I actually have like a really large cohort, so I believe there's 13 people in our cohort. But I like the cohorts because it's not just like the typical friends that I would be in last year. It's like just those that I would share the same classes with, and it kind of forced me to bond with them more because it was who I was really surrounded by with the whole school day. So in terms of like building more friendships and community, the cohorts really helped me with that. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Jill.
Sorry, just to add on to Sophia, I think an amazing way that we've been able to build community was cohort competitions. So just recently, we did like a little Halloween celebration. Everybody dressed up, made videos, and we got to show them. And so the school has just been able to find really fun ways to keep every cohort engaged, to build community, and just to make sure everyone is supported.
Wonderful. And I want to get to goal 5 because before the end of our time, because we have a really nice question here from Heather, which is a goal 5 question. So goal 5, personal growth in an atmosphere of wise freedom. Heather asks, how has NCDS helped you grow as a person? So when you envision yourself before you came here, specifically in the upper school, and how you've grown now, tell us a bit more about the highlights of your growth, what you want to share with everyone. Sarah.
I think to just start off, I think what NCDS really taught me is to not be afraid to ask questions. I think that, I came in as a ninth grader. I was super shy. I was switching from, my old school to a new school, and I was so nervous and I didn't ask anything and I was super quiet. And NCDS taught me that you can't be afraid of the unknown, and you have to just throw yourself out there and ask questions. If you don't understand something, ask a question. If you're asking your teacher to repeat the same thing for the millionth time, ask it, because it's like, it's your learning, it's your process. And so the only way that you're going to be able to, be a leader and a global world changer is by asking questions and by pushing yourself and pushing others to really think about, what are you doing? What am I doing? So that's what my NCDS experience is to me, to always ask questions.
Robin.
I think one of the really awesome things about our school is how many options we have in course selection, and I know coming in as a ninth grader, everybody takes computer science, and that really like opens your eyes to like being like a woman and in STEM, and it really like gives you a lot of opportunities to think about like other things that you might want to do with your future. And so I think that all of the opportunities for classes we have just really helps like thinking about your future and what you want to do.
Thank you. And yes, Claudia knows about being a woman in STEM too. So
Yeah, I would really like to speak to my personal growth that I've noticed having left Newton Country Day School, and being able to look back and attribute so much of that to courage and confidence and lessons that I graduated with. And I think that I had a younger sister who graduated in the class of 2020 as well. So I was able to stay intimately involved with the Newton Country Day School community throughout this entire time, and able to see just how much evolution I've seen in my sister and in myself. She's now also at Dartmouth with me. But I think that the biggest lesson that I've taken away from Newton Country Day School with regards to courage and confidence and what everyone has said about being a self-advocate is having the confidence to put yourself into scenarios where you see the most room to grow. And if those scenarios don't exist, you make them for yourself. So I've seen I can't take any credit for this, but I just saw my sister. She just started at Dartmouth and does not have a women in STEM focus, but was interested in taking an honors chemistry class as a first year because she had remembered liking chemistry. And she went directly to the professor and said that this is my credentials, these are my interests. How do you think I can succeed in this class? And worked with the professor to create an opportunity where she would succeed in the class. And I think that initiative is pretty unique to Newton Country Day School. And on top of that, the idea that our professors now at Dartmouth are our biggest fans and our advocates and a resource that we should be tapping into is something that comes very naturally to my sister and I. And I can definitely attribute that to the relationships that I'm accustomed to having with teachers at Newton Country Day School.
wonderful. Thank you for that. And Sophia G, along similar lines, can you close us out with, how you feel, like Claudia, your personal growth in your 4 years at Newton has helped you in your university education so far?
Yes. I think that coming to Newton, I was very nervous and putting myself in new situations sometimes, just because I found comfort in knowing exactly what's going to happen. So coming to college, I think when I'm trying out new classes that I never would have thought I'd taken. I'm taking a computer science class this year because my freshman year, it wasn't a requirement. There was other requirements. And I actually really enjoy my computer science class. And I would have never thought that I would enjoy it as much as I do. I think that Newton has taught me to advocate for myself and to, if something's wrong, call it out, because if it's wrong, it's wrong. And if I have my own set of personal beliefs, I should continue to stick with them. And lastly, I think it's taught me to continue to build community in any place that I go to. I find I have a great group of friends here. We have COVID, so you are limited to a smaller group of people, but I value the friendships that I've made with them. And I think that there are some that can last for several years. And that's something I've learned from Newton, is that I can continue to always make good relationships no matter where I go.
I hope that you enjoyed this recap of our open house. If you have any questions about the admissions process, please call the admissions office.